This dating horror story belongs in a show like The Twilight Zone, or I guess The Other Side, or Rims, or something like this. I had an experience with a man that was absolutely awful. And I mean, not in a dating sense, like in a life-threatening sense. Oh my goodness. I have no idea what was going on with this guy. Oh my goodness. And I feel bad because I feel like I should have listened to my instincts, but I didn't. And I ended up in this predicament. And it just felt filthy. It just felt filthy. So let me get started. I'm going to try and start from the beginning. If you haven't already got your coffee, your wine, your whiskey, your water, fed the kids, got your pajamas on, this is a long one. You need some time for this one. Okay, so I was at the local drugstore, and this guy pulled me over in the parking lot area, and he's talking to me, and he's like, "So where are you going?" I'm like, I just got my things and I'm on my way home. And he's like, "Oh, okay." And he's just chit-chatting and everything. But, I mean, I wasn't immediately attracted to him. But then again, that's not unusual because, as a rule, when a guy pulls you over in the street, he's been looking at you. I haven't had a chance to look at him. So, he's attracted, but usually not so much me. So I'm just talking to him, trying to figure out what's going on. Does he need directions? In the city, there's a multitude of reasons why a person might want to ask you a question. And far be it from me to, be a rude individual unnecessarily. So after a while, he kind of relaxes me a little bit and he's chit-chatting with me. And he makes a comment about how, he likes to spoil his women and, he'd love to be the man to, make my life a little bit more comfortable, a little bit less of a struggle, all that sort of thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't even know you. That's kind of a weird statement, whatever. So we exchanged numbers, and I live a couple blocks from the drugstore, so I'm pretty shortly at home, and he's like, "Call me, when you get in your house," and this, that, and the other, and I did not do that. I waited and called him until the new year because it was the December season. I just dumped another weirdo, and I just wanted to concentrate on being around my friends and everything, and for the holidays and the new year, and enjoy myself, and go like that. So the first of the year comes along, and I called him, and we're just kind of talking over the phone and everything. And he's just essentially filling my head with all the things he can do for me and all the things he can buy me and how interested he is in me, and he's single and I'm single and we can get this thing going and yada, yada, yada. And he's ready to settle down. He wasn't ready to settle down before. All of this stuff, right? And he does make a derogatory comment about me wearing too much makeup. And I heard that, and I know that I love my makeup, and I wear a lot more makeup than many people in South Central. A lot of women in South Central don't wear any makeup. They walk around just, they put some lotion or some Vaseline on their face, and that's it for them. There are a good amount of us, I say maybe 10 to 25% of us, that do wear makeup, and I wear a full face of makeup because I've had scars ever since that accident in June. So I cover up the scars. I am doing things to get rid of the scars, but still I don't want to run around with all kind of slash marks and stuff present, and all I got to do is put on some makeup. So I'm taking care of that. And I'm like, okay, I do wear a lot of makeup, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm covering up the scars. I'm studying him. I'm not walking down the street, looking like I just got hit by a bus. Because when you are black, there's hyperpigmentation and keloid and all these different things. I mean, if you look closely, you can see a little bump, a little indentation, a little swelling and stuff like that. But for the most part, I have it where, if a person's not fully aware and not looking for all that, they're not going to see it. And that's the way I feel comfortable right now walking down the street. So this stranger is not going to change that for me. When he met me, I had on that full face of makeup, and that's the way it's going to be while I'm, taking care of removing whatever I can remove this damage. So, and he made a comment about I had gotten makeup on my white coat. And that's true. I did get makeup on my white coat. Okay. And so at this point, obviously, you can probably figure I wasn't feeling all that attracted to him. In spite of his speeches about, buying me this, that, and the other and everything. And so he finally said he wanted to take me to Olive Garden. And I haven't been to the Olive Garden in a while. And as many of you know, I don't have a lot of money and I cannot afford at this point to take myself out for a meal at the Olive Garden. So that was kind of a treat. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a treat. That's kind of nice. Maybe I'll go hang out with him for a little bit, and I was greedily thinking about the endless salad and, maybe a pasta dish or something like that, and a cup of coffee. That's what I was really thinking about. And I was like, that would be so nice. But I tell you, there's a price for everything. So in any event, we were supposed to go at lunchtime because, that's just how I am, I don't know you. I want to do things at a time period that I feel comfortable. And he didn't show up. So I ended up going out with another guy, like an ex from last year or something. And so I'm out with my ex in the evening. And while I'm out with my ex, my phone starts blowing up and it's him. I'm like, how tacky. It's like, I don't know, 3 to 6 hours later and this man is calling me. It's ridiculous. I didn't respond, and I had no intentions of ever responding because I'm like, he's full of crap. He can't even show up in a timely basis. His word means nothing to him. And that should have been my sign, guys. I should have been gone right then. And I intended to be gone right then. I intended to not take his calls or anything. But I've changed my number so much, it's hard for my friends to keep up. And it's hard for me to keep people with the right number and all that. So I'm like, I can't just keep doing that. So I got to deal with this. In any event, time passes. I'm ignoring his calls. If I look down and I saw his number, pardon me, yawning. Oh, that was a big one too, and I was trying my best to make it as small as possible. But in any event, one morning, I get a call early in the morning. I just reach and grab the phone and answer it without checking to see who it is. I just pick up the phone, hello, you know that call. And it's him. And then he's like, you haven't been taking my calls. I'm like, why should I take your calls? You stood me up. It was like, well, I called you that night to take you out. I'm like, I was already out with somebody else by then, And he's like, oh, yeah, I forgot you said you had something else to do that night. I'm like, yeah. So he eventually, through his whole spiel again about what he'll do for me, this, that, and the other, somehow I got caught up in the madness because this time he said he was going to buy me an outfit to wear on our date. So I was going out with my girlfriends. He was going to drop by where my girlfriends were and bring me the outfit. And I was excited about that because, again, I don't have a lot of money to buy new clothes and different things like that. So to get an outfit, even something simple, because he wasn't talking about breaking the bank. But to get something simple and cute and new and then be able to wear that out on a date, that, again, would be a treat for me. So I got caught up in that for a moment. My eyes glazed over again over something different. And he didn't show up with the outfit, but I thought, well, maybe I misunderstood because I mean, I've never had well, I have had a guy that I didn't know that well buy me an outfit before, but I've never had the guy tell me he was going to do it before he do it. Usually that was kind of a spur of the moment thing. And those were only guys that were really interested in me, and I had long-term relationships too, you know. So I'm thinking maybe I was confused, but I knew I had a date with him for the following day at 3 o'clock. So 3 o'clock comes, he wasn't there, but I didn't have another date that evening this time, so I'm just hanging out in the house doing what I got to do, living my life. And 3 hours later, he comes calling, just like before, 3 hours later. And he's like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like, well, you know, we had a date at 3 o'clock. And then I mentioned about the day before and him not showing up. She's like, oh, no, you're confused. I said I might show up. And I'm like, what about the outfit you said you were going to buy me? And I was going to wear that tonight I was going to wear that this afternoon for our date and all that. What? And he just didn't talk on it. I'm like, oh, okay. And I should have been done right there. You guys see all these signs where I should have been done. Because obviously we aren't connecting. He's already letting me down. He's a liar. The things that are coming out of his mouth, they're not true. He has no meaning to any of it. So I shouldn't be bothered with this guy. Hindsight is 20/20 vision. Oh, boy. I haven't even gotten to the story, guys. This is all the prep. So somehow the two of us ended up out on a date. And as we're going out on the date, he said he didn't know where he wanted to go. And I didn't even think I was going anywhere. So I didn't have anything in mind either. So we're getting together and he's coming over. And when he gets there, I had looked online and found a restaurant pretty close. It was a decent date restaurant, you know, because some restaurants are not date restaurants. And he said, oh, no, I don't like their food. And then he made up the story about his car not being registered. And so he couldn't go there. Now, mind you, the place I picked was maybe a fourth of a mile from my house. And he said that there were plenty of police around there. And I'm thinking, well, there's plenty of police around here. But, you know, I'm like, for whatever reason, he doesn't want to go there. And he picked some other place. And I'm thinking, well, I've never been to the place he's talking about. I've never even been to that area. So I'll go. But again, my mind said, well, if he's talking about his car not being registered, maybe I should just get out the car right now and go home because I don't need to be bothered with any of that kind of drama either. And I'd pretty much decided this was going to be a last date. In fact, the whole time I'm here, it's just not making sense to me because everything in me, I wouldn't be here. He makes a comment that he doesn't like my outfit. He makes a comment that I'm extremely skinny. So I'm like, why is this guy chasing me? Why is he out with me? None of this is making sense. He doesn't like my outfit. He thinks I'm too skinny. He thinks I wear too much makeup. But he has been chasing me, calling me incessantly, talking about all the fabulous things he's going to do for me. Of course, we do know that every time he had the opportunity to do something, he did nothing. So it's just not adding up. So I go out to this date. We get to this restaurant, and it is a cheap diner. It is the kind of place that men will go to for lunch, but women do not enter these sorts of places. It is a greasy spoon, and it's Friday night, so there's nobody in there because no woman's going to go there with her family. You know, this is a greasy spoon. It was an awful place. I sat down, and my Christianity kind of took over because, you know, the Lord says that we're to be grateful for everything. We're to have a humble spirit and all this kind of thing. So even though in everything, when he pulled up into this place, I just wanted to get out, go get on the bus and go home. I wanted to catch the bus home. That's how I felt about this place. Or try to walk home or whatever, get a cab, call the police. I didn't want to be there, really. But I tried to make the best of it, put on my Christian face of humility, and I was able to let go of my initial disgust of the place. And I got inside, sat down, ordered the food, and the food was not particularly good. It wasn't food. It wasn't anything that I would ever come back to. And I ate. He had heartburn. We had to stop at a drugstore for him to get some heartburn medication. And I asked him if he had anything to eat. He said no, he hadn't had anything since the afternoon. So he just had a heartburn condition. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's wrong with him, but when you don't even eat and you're having heartburn, I don't know. Are there some health issues that he doesn't feel comfortable putting on the table yet? And so I thought about that. And as we're eating, he starts again with his conversation. You women pick the wrong man. Y'all be broke, and then you go out and date somebody else that's broke, and then the two of you can't make ends meet, and things go wrong, and this, that, and the other. Y'all need to start dating men who got something. I could put you in a car. I could put you in a house. Y'all, he was just singing one of them soul songs. He was going back to Babyface. I'll cook you dinner, run your bath water as soon as I get home from work kind of stories. So I'm like, okay. But I'm sitting up in this cheap, tawdry diner right now in my old clothes. And so I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. And so I said to him, I said, look, I'm thin, and I know from our conversation that you don't like thin women. You didn't like my outfit. Why are you out with me? I across the table, I'm looking at, why are you out with me? Because it's not making sense. I'm no longer buying the Kool-Aid. I'm no longer drinking the Kool-Aid. And I'm sensing that there is something wrong. I should also admit, when he called me 3 hours late, he asked to come into my house. The day he met me, he asked to come into my house. And I turned him down. And prior to our date, I met with my mentor, and she gave me like this 30-minute conversation about not letting strange men in my house. It was an odd conversation. Didn't make any sense. And in my mind, I struggled with it. I'm like, that seems kind of rude not to let men in your house. At my age, it seemed kind of rude. But then again, my Christian self said, I'm just going to humble myself before God, and I'm not going to question this. It could only be for my good. It can't cause me harm. And the fact that I'm questioning it probably means that I'm not trusting God. So I need to trust God. And so there was no way this guy was getting in my house after that, because I'm trusting God, that God's going to do whatever and, work things out. So I'm just not going to have a guy in my house, So he says to me that the reason why he was dating me is because he might miss something if he didn't give everybody a chance. Now, something in me thought, you are giving me a chance? I'm giving you a chance. You are not giving me a chance. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, for all my scars from the bus accident, for all my being skinny, I am a prize and you are not. I don't care if you are a billionaire, sir. When people look at the two of us, it's obvious which one of us is the prize, which one of us is a jack and which one of us is the box. It's obvious, He claimed to be 45 at one point. He claimed to be 43 at one point. He claimed to be 42 at one point. He told me some story about he doesn't give his name to women that he's dating because they can use it to get him put in jail. Now, that's kind of an interesting thing, is it? Why is it your name could get you put in jail? He said that women will claim that you did something that you didn't do, and if they have your name, because he doesn't let women know where he lives, because if he lets them know where he lives, that, and then they have his name, it wouldn't be good, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, So obviously the name that he's given me is a fake name. And so, my battery's getting low. I'm going to have to hurry it up. And I'm just now getting to the juicy part of the story. Oh my goodness. There might be a part 2 to this story, guys, if my phone goes out. Because I don't know how to edit on my phone. But we'll see. If it just goes, whoop, then you'll have to wait for part 2 to get the rest of it. So in any event, he takes me home. And when he takes me home, again, he goes, would you like for me to come up? And I said, no, thank you. Oh, while we were at dinner, during the evening, I put my lipstick on. He says, well, I won't be kissing you. And, I'm smiling, thinking to myself, oh, you just figured that out. But I mean, he was saying he wasn't kissing me, like I might have been looking forward to kissing him, and now he was going to deprive me because I was wearing lipstick. And I'm like, I'm the prize. I'm the girl. You're the one that looks forward to that sort of thing on the first date. I could care less. So when he gets to my house, he goes, would you like for me to come up? And I'm like, no, thank you. Nice and easy. And I get up in my house, and as soon as I get in my house, guys, I start getting this heebie-jeebie prophetic word. And the word comes bubbling out of me. And I don't know how long I'm in this state where this word is coming to me, and it's for this man. So then I feel compelled to share with him because it is a dark and dire word, warning. And so I look at my phone, and he has called me. And I'm like, wow, it's late at night, and he has called me. So then I call him back. And he picks up the phone, and he's like, oh, hi. And, he's got his sexy voice on. I guess he's thinking she's probably calling me back or something weird like that. And I said, the Lord told me to tell you that you will not see January 1st, 2015. God said you are evil incarnate, that your mind is filled with wickedness and your thought is upon wickedness. And even by the week's end, you will not be able to accomplish the task that you have been doing up until this moment. God says you are not fighting with man, you are fighting with me. And I am God. I control the power in life. What do you control, little man? Oh my goodness. I mean, it was just bubbling out of me. And guys, I don't even normally remember anything like that happens to me. But this I remember distinctly. And we will find out why if I can get through it without my battery dying. So when I say this to this man, I mean, I've never in my life said a word like this to anybody. I said, God said that you are not a Christian and you are not on your way to heaven. And when you die, if you die in your sin unrepentant, you will make your bed in hell. Yes, I did say that to him. And you know what his response is? Well, would you like for me to come over? And I said, no, I would not. I mean, is that the eeriest thing? I just told this man that he is so evil that God has to take his life to stop him from doing evil things. And his only response is, would you like for me to come over? I mean, that means being evil is so normal to him. It's no big deal. And he figures if I'm with him, that it's no big deal to me. So I told him I would not like to come over. And then he takes a minute. And he said, over the course of our date, he said in the past, some women's girlfriends had hit on him, but he would never go out with any of his girlfriend's friends. He's faithful, and he will only date the woman that he's seeing. And I said to him, why didn't he date him? In spite of all, I said, what did the reason that the women give for dating you? He says, because I'm handsome and this, that, and the other. And sorry, I keep on getting the warning that this thing is about to go out. And guys, he was a short man, older man, overweight, barely able to walk because of sciatica. About 6 months prior, he was so fat that when he reached down to pull his pants up, his back split in half. I mean, he was not a visual prize. He was by no means a visual prize. And So I'm like, okay, well, he must have money for women to be lying to him like that. Because they tell you the truth when you broke. I'm broke and everybody tells me the exact truth. Nobody lies to me about how I look or how I'm looking. So, but when folks trying to take you for your money, they don't tell them what they'll tell you. I'm like, well, if you got money, people are probably just filling your head with junk so they can try to get it from you. And, he probably took offense to that, but it's hard for me not to tell it's hard for me not to spill out some little nuggets of truth, even when I'm trying to be, pleasant. So, now at this point, he says, well, can you introduce me to your friends? I'd like to go out with your friends. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, I see. Earlier you said you didn't date folks' friends, and that was just a lie because you was just trying to get through me to run through all of my friends with your madness. Okay, I got that now. And then I decided, I guess I got a little indignant from all the lying and everything, and I just told him flat out, I said, sir, I have no intentions of ever going out with you again. You don't make a good impression, and my friends wouldn't be interested in you either. You took me to that cheap diner where I sat up and ate that awful food, and I was as pleasant as I could about it. You told me, you made a comment about my clothing, said you didn't like my clothing. I said, but you had the opportunity to buy me an outfit that you would like to see me in the day before, and you did not do it. I don't have a lot of money. And it's just rude to sit up with a woman that doesn't have a lot of money and make fun of the clothing that she's able to provide for herself for a date. That's just rude. There's nothing about that is anything but rude. You're tasteless. The restaurant you took me to demonstrated your lack of taste, your lack of position in society. You don't even know where to take somebody for a date. You take somebody to some greasy spoon that truck drivers eat at for a date. I said, absolutely not. I would not have my friends angry with me because of your madness. I said, not to mention, you have never showed up to a date anywhere earlier than 3 hours after you claimed to be going on the date. And people don't have time for you. And at this point, when he realized that he was not going to get me and he was not going to get my friends, all of a sudden, the truth started coming out. He said, you're so skinny that I was embarrassed to be seen with you. His voice cleared up. Up until his voice was kind of eerie and like, he had a snake to his voice and he was talking like this. But all of a sudden, now that he was telling the truth, his voice was as clear as mine is. He's like, well, you're so skinny that I was embarrassed to be seen with you. I'm like thinking to myself, I was the same skinny when he met me that I am now. Nothing has changed. And then he said, you're lucky that I took you out to dinner because I didn't plan to take you anywhere but to bed. And I thought, okay, so now we have truth number 2 coming on. All those lies about all the money he was going to spend on me, that was easy to say because it was all fake. And I'm like, okay, so men usually date women that they're attracted to. Men usually want to sleep with women that they're attracted to. But this guy has admitted that he is not attracted to me, but he wants to sleep with me. So then he said, you're so skinny, I thought you had HIV. Now, another thing is, during the course of our talking, this man explained that he only had unprotected sex. So he wanted to have unprotected sex with me. And then the light bulb came on. I'm sitting up here with a man who's got HIV or full-blown AIDS. People's backs don't split when they bend over unless they got some kind of strange infection. And this man only wanted to be with me in order to poison my body with some kind of bacterial infection viral infection that I couldn't get rid of. And so that is what it was all about. Oh my goodness. And he hung up on me and started sending me text messages of the truth, and it was extremely evil. Now he sends me messages periodically saying that he's still alive. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm not worried because, either you're going to repent and get yourself right with God, or you will not see January 1st, 2015. I know, based upon what you just told me, that that word was definitely from God. And what I didn't know then was God was warning me to never see you again because you are toxic, poisonous, and your whole life is intent toward evil. Oh, my phone's about to cut off. I made it. And God bless each and every one of you. And I hope this story helps you.